Unity of Houston is an inclusive church where we seek to understand and live the teachings of Jesus and other spiritual masters. At Unity, we welcome all people from all spiritual paths and every walk of life. We celebrate the diversity of our city and of our world, and we teach love, tolerance, and oneness, seeking to live in harmony with open minds and open hearts.
Wherever you are in your spiritual path, you are always welcome at Unity. Join us and discover that the life of your dreams is already within you.
The message I'm sharing with you this evening is from our Unity teaching on the healing stream. I couldn't help but be reminded as I thought about those words, the healing stream, of a scripture passage that I repeated over and over again to callers when I was a prayer associate at Silent Unity, and it speaks to this principle. It's from Isaiah 58:11. The Lord will guide you continually and satisfy your needs in parched places and make your bones strong. And you shall be like a watered garden, like a spring of water, whose waters never fail. I think about our body, our experience of the physical and the flow of a spring of water, that we are, in our physical form, actually a moving stream, a bloodstream, right, moving through our body. We're 98% water, always in a flow. And so our teacher, one of our great Unity teachers, Eric Butterworth, he wrote a book, In the Flow of Life, to point to this idea of being in this eternal flow. And he said this: you can be healed. You can open the way to the eternal flow of life. Be still and know, I am in the flow. I am the flow. And I love that progression from knowing I'm in the flow to really being aware I am the flow. There's no separation between me and the flow of divine life energy. So what does it really mean to be in that flow of the healing stream? Well, the good news that Eric Butterworth shares with us in this text is, he says, there is no incurable disease, only incurable persons who may be locked into certain negative states of consciousness, but consciousness can be changed. So he's saying that we have the ability to shift our consciousness from a negative state into an alignment with health and to realize more full health and wholeness and flow, no matter what the condition. And one thing that he teaches is, even in the illness, there is an allness. There is always that fuller expression of health ready to move through us. We tend to think that our thoughts are interpreting our body conditions, but in truth, our body is actually responding to our thinking. So we may think, I have, a pain here, and then I go and I take an Advil or Tylenol, right? But that in truth, it's the pain that we're holding in our consciousness, whether it is unforgiveness or stress. When we get tense and our body starts to tense up, right? We can feel a knot in our stomach, or our hands clenched, or face scrunched up. We tend to hold that tension in the body as a result of our thinking, in response to our thinking, rather than our thoughts as a response to our body condition. So we're moving forward in this, as Karen brought the teaching last week, of living life from within out, recognizing that our consciousness, our thinking, is the first cause of our external manifestation. So Eric Butterworth teaches to focus and affirm health. This is how we move into that healing stream, to keep our words, our focus on health and wholeness, rather than perpetuating conversation around negative conditions. Our Unity co-founder, Charles Fillmore, says this as he defines health in the Revealing Word. He says, that which seems to be sickness does not exist in truth. When man becomes so much at one with God-mind that he abides in the consciousness of health, he enters the eternal peace in which he knows that it is finished, as Jesus said, it is finished. To know God as health, one must take up the study of a healthy mind and make it, and not physical appearance, the basis of every calculation. So in order to enter into that God mind, you've made the choice this evening already to practice meditation, and that's how we let go of that resistance and we move into that stillness that puts us into that flow that brings healing. I know when I am in the silence, when I've really noticed my thoughts start to quiet down, to downshift, and I get to that peaceful place, I notice a flow of energy in my body, and it could even feel maybe tingly at times, and that the energy has shifted. I've let go. There's some movement there. When I study Kundalini Yoga, my yoga instructor said that one of the best poses that we can do for ourselves is Shavasana, which is really just laying on the floor and just allowing and just being in that state of letting go and allowing. And that alone is so healing, to stop doing, to let the muscles release, and it puts us into that flow. Charles Fillmore said, health can always be demonstrated through the power of the spoken word. So we want to be conscious about the words that we're using as we talk about our body and our experience of health. So in this study, Eric Butterworth says all disease is psychosomatic in origin, meaning that it's coming from within out, that it's beginning at the level of thought. He says bad luck, being accident prone, sickness are all the result of a bad mental habit. So just notice where you're thinking. I can notice myself get stuck in the idea of, oh, it's flu season, so when's the flu coming? Or, oh, the coronavirus, or, oh, whatever it is that's in our collective consciousness now that's rising up, that am I going to hold on to that and say, well, that's mine, and I need to be concerned that that's going to come into my experience? Of course, we take precautions. We do what we're guided to do. The teaching is really to focus on health and wholeness, and that will build up your immunity and strengthen you and align you with the truth that is always health and wholeness. Jesus gave us a wonderful living parable in the Gospel of John. I find this parable interesting because it occurs after the resurrection, that he appears to the disciples. The disciples have been out on a lake. They've been fishing all night. They've been casting their nets over. They come back in the morning. They dock their boat, and Jesus says to them, so how did it go? How was your cat? What'd you haul in? Nothing. You got nothing. They didn't know it was him. And he said, why don't you try going back out and casting your nets on the other side of the boat? And they did, and there was more fish than they could even haul in. And then they noticed, oh, that's Jesus. That's our Lord. He knew. And the metaphysics of this, as we look at the spiritual lesson here, is that they're fishing on the wrong side of the boat. The left side of the boat, it represents limited states of mind. When you think, you get caught up in resistance, you get caught up in thoughts of failure, insufficiency, lack, and that's how they were approaching this flow, that they were not in the flow. They were stuck. And so when they went over to the right side represents healthy-mindedness, attitudes of confidence, positive thoughts, success. And so it's just simply a shift, and we can do it in a moment, that we can recognize I am going on the wrong road with my whining and complaining or whatever it is that I've gotten myself into about this condition in my body, and I can now see it as a benefit and what can be brought forward as good and a gift in and through that situation of healing and wholeness. And perhaps if there's something that's a limitation, that you begin to see that there are other gifts that are being shown in that situation and condition. I know Reverend Sheila has shared with us about her experience of blindness, and that she's opened up even more fully. She's here with us tonight, and her intuition and her spiritual consciousness and awareness. So there really is no limitation. There's always goodness as we open to that greater awareness. So Eric Butterworth said, you can't get health, you can only be health. That health is truly the reality of life. So the way to align with the healing stream, inviting you to recognize that the whole universe is truly within you, and it is the ever-present flow of who you are, the reality of who you are, to trust the body's super wisdom, that it is so much more powerful than medicine when we open up to that source that is wanting to flow into our lives. Do you know what the number one health complaint is? Fatigue, right? I'm tired. Oh, I'm tired. I got too much going on. And if, you know, when you're exercising and you work yourself down and you just can't go anymore, and then that rush of adrenaline comes in, you get that second wind and you're able to push through it. The body has so much stored energy in it. We never really even use up all that capacity that we have. And but we can get in this consciousness of fatigue, and we can continue to perpetuate it. So most of the fatigue that healthy people experience comes from financial worries, unsatisfactory work conditions, meaninglessness in life, emotional upsets at home and in business, and fear of losing one's job. So these are all not health diagnosis. These are concerns, emotional, mental, things that are going on in life that we take on, and we allow them to drain energy from us. So the cure is really to move into a spirit-motivated diet. Change your diet is what Eric Butterworth says. To feed yourself with words of truth. I am in the flow of life. I am healthy. I am whole. I am wonderful. And notice that once you start knowing that truth of your health, that you then are in a conscious alignment with what food you need to eat to keep that energy flowing, how you need to care for your body. You've shifted your consciousness. And so I'll close with these beautiful affirmations from the healing stream. I'm in the flow of life, and I move easily with the flow. I am radiantly and enthusiastically alive. I am free from tension, stress, and strain, and I go forward in the flow of life, unhurried and unworried. Imagine a life where all people are unhurried and unworried, with ease and grace, moving in the flow, and that is yours as you shift into that awareness of your oneness with divine life.
Thank you for watching this message today. I'd like to invite you to join us in person here on campus at Unity of Houston for Sunday morning or Wednesday evening services. If you can't be with us here on our campus, you can still join us live on Facebook or on our website, unityhouston.org, Sunday mornings at 11 a.m. Central.